Bye, John. Again, that means brother. Sometimes, bro, we just need to shut up. Okay? We really need to shut up. And I know we're really excited to tell this person about the topic that they're trying to tell us about, or sometimes we just, want them to shut up so we can tell them what it is we want to tell them, but just just be quiet for a little bit, okay? Just listen. I, you know, we tend to get into conversations with people, and one big thing that I notice, especially in the modern day, again, because our attention spans are, messed up, blah blah blah, all that, right? Bro, we as a human race, we suck ass at holding eye contact and just listening to a person and hearing them out. And there's a Stoic. His name was, I think, Zeno, right? He's the father of Stoicism, and he basically says, you have one mouth and two ears for a reason. It's something like that. I'm probably paraphrasing it or some shit like that, but I thought it's someone I recognized. Never mind. But again, right? We can't just sometimes just look in someone's eyes and just be quiet and just listen with interest. And one of the things that helped me do this, which I saw on the internet, and I thought it'd be just some dumb tip, something basic, but this one made a lot of sense to me. And it was, rather than trying to, because we all have a tendency to do this, don't lie. When you're in a conversation with someone, whether you're excited to talk back to them or whether you're just mad because they don't understand you, so you try talking over them, we tend to dismiss everything that it is they're saying just so we can say what it is we need to say. Basically, what our mind thinks is, okay, you can talk, and once you stop, you could talk just so you have the turn to talk, but I won't actually care to listen, and I'll only pretend like I'm listening so I can have my turn to talk. This shit happens in group chats all the time. I know that's texting a little different, but still, it's a little bit similar. And it happens in conversation all the time, bro. Ever since I started meditating, I didn't realize how much I actually do this too, and I did this a lot. And when I started finally meditating and being aware and consciously being mindful, like, people think just because you meditate you'll automatically be more mindful, and that is true to some degree. You do make that a subconscious thing because you're practicing it, but like half of that is habit, but the other half has to be conscious. Like, you have to consciously think like you're listening to this person and you're consciously taking interest in what it is that you're saying. You're being mindful of the fact that I really wanted to say something there, but I held myself back. Because for most of us, we just say shit. And we don't realize it, but we just completely interrupted over someone. This happens all the time, and it happens to me now, and I get fucking pissed in my mind. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, shut the fuck up, I'm talking. You know what I mean? Like, that shit pisses people off, bro. That shit's mad annoying, but you have to realize that you're probably also the one doing it. And when I realized that, I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel very nice. So that was one of the realizations. I was like, I should probably stop doing that. And then I had to consciously be aware of not talking while other people were talking, because you also don't want to straw man their point. You also don't want to, you want to be able to listen to everything they're saying, so you could properly then, take everything that they just gave you and then and then respond. Right? Then you'll look foolish if they didn't get to finish, and then you're like, oh, you talked over me and I forgot to add that point, and then it's just a mess, And you want to be on that person's side when you're talking with them, even if you're taking adversarial stances in an argument. Even if you're opposite, you don't want to treat them like an adversary, like an enemy. You want to treat them as if you're both someone who are trying to find not necessarily a compromise, but the closest thing to the truth. You're not trying to be right, you're just trying to find what you think is possibly the closest thing to the truth. Now, you can disagree and agree from time to time, right? Agree to disagree, that's perfectly fine. People do it all the time, you know. There's no one right way to do things, blah, blah, blah. We all know this, but, you know, I digress, right? We really need to make more of an effort to listen, because sometimes we really do make people seem as if they're completely insignificant by just interrupting them, and then the other person also just completely switches to the other person and just starts listening to them. And it's like, bro, like, I was in the middle of talking, I gave you the time to talk, but you did not give me the time to talk. And you'll lose people like that. So the way to actually go about doing it is, you really just want to sit down, and your brain will do this to you a lot. Okay, your brain will be like, I really don't want to be in this conversation, and maybe you don't, so you end it. But even then, you try to just sit there and just listen to the person and understand, because you have to think that you also want people around you that are willing to just sit down, look you in the eye, and just listen, and just nod along, and maybe like try to give you some input after all that, and maybe, you know, just, or maybe just even listen to you, bro. So if you're that kind of person for people, people will first of all love you, and they'll also, you know, you're being a lot better overall for the world. I think you're pushing the world in a positive direction. I was about to say they would do it for you, but that's not necessarily always the case. You also need to find someone who's willing to listen to what it is you're willing to say, because too many times, even in my life right now, there are people that I'll just constantly listen to, but when it's my turn to talk, it's just like, oh yeah, bro, that's cool, bro. Oh yeah, all right. So you cannot, and some of these people are probably people I should not be around, because I cannot gain anything or get a proper input out of them or anything like that. It's just like, you know, you're always there for them, but they're never really there for you type deal, right? So you also need to be able to find someone that's able to listen to you like that, just so, you know, you have a fair bit of talking rather than just listening all the time, because then you're just always bouncing ideas off back and forth in your head, or whatever you're dealing with is back and forth inside your own head. So you need a brotherhood like this to be able to just talk things out, and, you know, have people possibly understand you. But again, the foundational, how would I say this? The thing about communication, most people don't realize, is, again, like, listening is, I think, way more, or attributes for way more of like the higher aspect than talking does, right? Because everybody can talk. You know, introverts are listening to this saying otherwise, but, you know, everybody can, you know, talk up a mouth in front of the right people, but can you actually sit down and just listen to what it is? One thing that might also help is try to relate your experience to theirs, not by necessarily talking, but just by listening. Literally just by listening. Like, think about how this person might be going through something that you've gone through as well, and try to actually take a genuine interest in this person. And you might say, well, how do you really do that? And you do that by not making an effort to come up with a response. You're trying too fucking hard to, and that's partly why I think men fail when talking to women. They're trying too hard to lead some conversation in some direction. They're trying to take too much control over the situation, and control to the point where they don't even end up listening to the person. They just end up trying to like lead the conversation in some way. It's like, I don't even know. I'm trying to come up with an example. It's like, do you like hamburgers? And then they said yes, and then you suddenly go to, hey, want to go do this shit or something like this. It's almost like you didn't even listen to them. Like, you're not even like trying to elaborate on what it is that they, you know, just try to talk about, like hamburgers or shit like that. Like, you're not even trying, frankly. So just make more of an effort to listen, bro. Just make more of an effort to listen. Like, that's all people really need. People just want someone to be able to listen to. That's all I'm really trying to say. And, you know, I think you'll tilt the world in a little bit more of a positive direction if you're willing to do something like that, because you never know. People got so much going on through their minds and things like that, that sometimes they just need to be listened to. You know, they just need someone there. And think about it, right? Because you also want that, right? So you know all that cringe cliche shit you hear about, like, be the change you want to see in the world? Well, this is exactly what that is. You listen so that hopefully more people start to do that. And even if they don't, you're at least one more person in the world that's willing to listen and help the world for the greater good, right? That's all I got for y'all. Peace.